Good evening, everyone. It is July 10th, 2023. Now, coming into this week, what I'd mentioned was that I didn't really have some sort of huge bias. Was looking for a pretty choppy Monday and Tuesday session as we await that CPI Wednesday, the 10-year and beige book, all on Wednesday, Thursday PPI as well. So I'm kind of looking for the same coming into tomorrow. Now, today we also did have the Nasdaq rebalance. I think it was mentioned on Sunday maybe that the Nasdaq would be reducing its weighting, I think, of Apple and Microsoft shares. So what happened today was that the New York Stock Exchange, as an entire entity, all the stocks in the NYSE, were quite bid. Meanwhile, the heavyweights, the big boys, maybe I can pull it up here. Yeah, here you go. You can see them right here. The heavyweights, meanwhile, were, as you can see, pretty offered. Other than Meta, I guess the Threads app is doing well. Uh, so overall, the Nasdaq was getting sold off, and it actually took a couple dips underneath last week's low. There's last week's low around 111, and you can see we dipped below it during the external trading hours once in the morning during the RTH, and then again in the afternoon, holding this trend line and this trend line over here, and eventually making a new high on the day as it came into the close. So today the index was overall weighted down. So not only did I have no real bias coming into the week, just in terms of price action and TA and this and that, I also just didn't really, after seeing this rebalancing occurring and weighing down the Nasdaq, because again, meanwhile, the ES didn't come close to last week's low, wherever the hell it is. I think, where is it? Thursday's low. There we go, 44.19s. The RTH couldn't break it at all. Held 25s. That's where I got long, somewhere around 25 quarter. I think we held 24. So the RTH on the ES was unable to break the low of the day, and even actually, if you went down to a lower time frame chart, what you'd see is that the ES was staying bid pretty much near the highs of the morning, while Nasdaq was selling off to below last week's low. So to me, it was a scenario where the Nasdaq was getting artificially sold off, if you want to call it that, and the move was to find a long on ES. So once that the Nasdaq found a bid, the ES would push up higher, and that's what we're getting now. I was looking for 44.50 to tag during the RTH, came close, flattened it at the close, I think at 43s. So overall, coming into tomorrow, what I'll be looking for is, was the selling on the Nasdaq genuine, or was it just the rebalancing taking place? So I will be a little bit long biased, taking the opinion that the breadth as a whole was healthy, the ES was healthy, and that it was just a temporary move downwards on the Nasdaq. So tomorrow, what I'll be looking for is for us to get into that 44.60 to 70 zone on the ES, and for us to get into this 15,236 to 280, whatever you want to call it, kind of 15,260 area on the Nasdaq. So that's what I'll be looking for tomorrow. Now, in terms of actually trading this, I'm not really seeing a ton of setups here that I'm super interested in. If we go on to a 2-hour chart here, this is all I'm really interested in. Maybe we can add a few more here to the yes. Let's throw on this one and maybe this one. But really, honestly, it would very well probably be tagging 44.38. Move down there's a 50-point move. That's a large move these days, especially in the middle of July. Really, I think would be moving down to maybe something like 4,400 at the most. Same to the upside. I think we'd tag this 37, 38 number. I think we could very well test the upper boundaries of this 70 to 75 number. So what I'll be looking for tomorrow is keeping in mind those overnight statistic. So today we broke the overnight high, which meant the break of the overnight low was unlikely. So I leaned against that and getting long at 25s. So tomorrow what I'll be looking for is if the overnight low is kind enough to come down to something like 30. If we break the overnight high, I'll be looking to get long somewhere in 38 for that move up into 61. Now, instead, if we break the overnight low, the overnight high remains untouched, I'll be looking to get 38 short for a flush down to the prior week's low at 44.19ish. And I would very likely not be looking to take these long. That 15 quarter is looking a bit funny. This 15 quarter, 13, I'd be likely not looking to take those longs. Maybe I'd be looking for 4400-ish, 4385, but I would not want to be churning within this range. I'd be looking for the short somewhere around settlement lows at 32 up to about 43, somewhere around there, leaning against that overnight high for the flush downwards. On the Nasdaq, we don't have that overnight stat to monkey around with, unfortunately. Nasdaq's a little bit more wild. But what I'll be looking for is, and likely it would end up in the same scenario where the ES has not broken the overnight high, is that if we got down below, let's call it 150, I'd be looking to short somewhere around settlement lows, somewhere around where we have that offer all day. If we go down to a 30-minute chart, you can see this thing just offered, eventually becomes a bid, and now we're moving on upwards a bit. But I'd be looking to get short somewhere around that point of control, settlement lows, weekly open, whatever you want to call it, getting short against either yesterday's high of the day or the overnight high, whatever we get, for a move into last week's low at 111-ish. Below there, I would be interested in taking it along after these stops are ran. And I think we really are loading up some stops here with a daily low. We just loaded this up. You have 1, 2, 3 daily lows within a, what is that, 40-point range on the NQ? That's quite tight. That's about 8 points on the ES. So I think we're loading up some stops here. What I'd be looking for is some sort of stop run to occur and then getting long. Same thing down here. I would want to see some stops get ran, get into this 968, 978, 964, and then getting long. So overall, sorry for the long video, but overall, I'm fairly neutral heading into tomorrow. And what I'll be looking for is how are the heavies being bid up or not. If you wanted to, you could look up the index, MA, Mama. This is what I look at intraday, and maybe a 30-minute chart would show it well. And you can see it struggled today, right? All day Monday, just kind of struggling relative to Friday's performance and Thursday. So that's what I'll be looking for heading into tomorrow. Pretty neutral of a bias. Let's see what we get, and I would be careful looking to get long above 60. I'd be careful looking to get short in that 25 to 15-ish area. I think you might be getting short in the hole. Anyway, hope that makes sense. Hope that helps. Have a great night. Trade safe.